What is up, guys? Edward here. Welcome to another episode of MIDCONVO. We're going to be switching it up this week a little bit. Honestly, I realized something and I want to share it with you guys. For those of you listening and for those of you guys watching right now, I'm also recording this for video. But honestly, guys, reviewing or interviewing someone once every single week is not sustainable. I'm really glad that a lot of you have been loving all the episodes, but honestly, trying to run a business while also trying to create content, it's really hard to sustain interviewing one person a week. And on top of that, all my podcast station right now, if you've noticed, every episode is at a different location, and that's just been really kind of difficult to do every single week. Not that I'm complaining. I mean, I love interviewing people. I love meeting new creatives, but I'm just trying to think long term. Like, is this sustainable? Can I really keep this up for the foreseeable future? And I just had to be real with myself and understand that when you need to make a pivot, you just need to make a pivot. And I'm using this intro right now for this podcast as an update. Oh shoot, almost forgot the intro music. Let's roll that real quick. All right, we're back. I don't know, I just had to throw that in there, it's the intro music. It's a podcast. There has to be intro music. So I actually have notes on my computer right here, and the first update is, as you guys can tell, I don't have any guests this week. And so I've decided that I'm going to do interviews with creatives or creators, entrepreneurs, what I've been doing basically bi-weekly, which means I'm not going to be doing a new creative every single week. Every other week will be an interview with a creative. Now, what am I doing with the gap weeks or the weeks that I'm not interviewing someone? Since this is a podcast, I'm going to actually be doing self podcasts. So I'm not going to always have a guest or a co-host. It's just going to be me. And I'm going to take this opportunity to connect more with the people who are listening, the people who are watching, and I want to talk about mindset. And honestly, as you guys can see on my YouTube channel, I do tutorials and, little things, little videos that are between, 1 and 10 minute long. But this podcast is for long form deep dive into creative minds. And honestly, I kind of want to share some things that are on my own mind, and hopefully you guys want to hear what I have to say, because I do think I overcame a lot of struggles while trying to quit my job to become a full-time freelancer. And I want to share all those hacks and tips. And basically that's what I'm going to be doing all the weeks I'm not interviewing someone. It's just going to be me talking about how to, grow as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as someone trying to just make it in this creative space. With that being said, sometime this year, actually it's kind of in the pipeline, I might be getting a permanent podcasting station set. I don't want to talk too early, but yeah, that's in the works. So I might be having a designated MIDCONVO podcast station, which I'm super stoked for, but I'll make sure to keep you guys in the loop. So for this week's topic, let's get right into it. It's the first one. Why aren't you growing? Now, if you're listening to this or watching, you might be thinking to yourself, why? There's so many people around me crushing it. They're smashing their goals, and for some reason, you feel like you're just not growing. Why is that happening? Why do I feel this block? I don't even want to call it creative block. It's just literally not growing. You're not unlocking your full potential. And why is that? We're going to dive deep a little bit into that more today. I want to break this down to two sections. Essentially, there's the before taking action and then taking action towards growing into the beast or creative or entrepreneur that you want to, in my opinion. Now, before you take action, if you feel this way, before you take action or do anything, you need to get your mindset right. You just have to get your mindset right. It's so underrated. A lot of times people who are trying to make it in this creative space, they're just like, work, hustle, or whatever. I know it's a trendy term right now to be on the hustle or on the grind, but truly, what no one talks about is your mental health. You need to be, it's starting to become more trendy, I guess, mental health. And I'm not trying to talk about mental health as a trendy topic. I do think though in 2019, more and more people are going to be talking about the psychological aspect of growing and not just the work side. But anyway, pretty much you need to get your mindset right in order to grow. Kind of think, I actually, one of my clients that I'm working with, basically we just had a meeting earlier this morning, and he gave such a good analogy. His name's Rob. He runs a company called Genius, but I want to share it with you guys. He basically said that it's about the elephant and the rider. Imagine our body is the elephant, not like in a way where we're like fat or anything, but imagine our body is the elephant, and our mind is the rider of the elephant. Now, think about that dynamic. As the rider, I mean, you could try to maneuver and train your elephant to kind of go the way you want it to, but at the end of the day, if the elephant wants to like do what he wants and go where he wants, he will, because he'll outpower the mind any time of the day. And so that's why it's so important that we train our minds to control our body the way we want to. And it all kind of starts with the rider or our mind. So it's very important that we train our bodies to work and function in a way that's going to help us be the most productive, smash our goals, and also just work at the level or peak performance that we want it to, right? After you have, got your mind right, you need to take action. So if you guys want to learn more about mindset in terms of getting your mind right, we can talk about another podcast episode. But this is more so answering the question, why you're not growing. So let's kind of continue. So before taking action, you have to get your mind right. Now, after you get your mind right, you have to essentially, you have to look at not what you want, but you just got to start doing. What that means is, I feel like a lot of creatives, what they're doing now is they're comparing themselves to other people in the industry, and they're saying, I want that, or I want that camera, or I want that, social following. They look at everything that they want, but they're not doing anything to get there. They're just kind of saying like, I want that. Why isn't it working? Like, I want to get there. How do I get there? But the big gap or bridge there is essentially you have to take that first step. You have to first take that baby step to even talk about getting to where you want to go. You can't really just like take a shortcut or a detour and just kind of skip everything and get to where you want to go. You have to take the baby step. And the best way I could kind of give an analogy to this is when I was talking to one of my buddies and it kind of came up. But imagine you have a car, and the car, let's say you get inside the car, you don't really yell at the car like, why aren't you moving? You haven't even started it yet, but you're yelling at the car, why are you not moving forward? Why are you not bringing me to my destination? You have the vehicle, but you see the problem there? You haven't even put the key yet in the ignition. You haven't put the car in drive yet and actually steer to your destination. So do you see how silly it is to kind of yell at the car like, why aren't you moving, if you haven't taken the steps to start the car and actually get to where you got to go? That's essentially what's happening with a lot of creatives in our space. They see the vehicle, and the vehicle is the creative industry, right? So you're trying to, whether that's filmmaking, photography, design, it doesn't have to even be creative. Anything you're trying to pursue in your passion, you have a vehicle now. Like, if you're fortunate enough to be passionate about something, that's awesome. And that is your vehicle on wherever you're trying to grow, or whatever goal you're trying to hit. Now, you don't just look at, for example, for me, like filmmaking, I don't just look at filmmaking and I'm like, why are you not working? Why is this not working? Why am I not getting where I want to go? But then I'm not making any videos. I'm not making any podcast episodes. Do you see how that kind of contradicts itself? So if I want to use filmmaking, the vehicle, I need to start the car, or I need to, start making some YouTube videos. I need to start taking my social media more seriously. I need to start reaching out to more clients. You need to put in the work beforehand, before you can even start thinking about getting to your destination. So whatever your vehicle is, make sure that you're starting it, putting it in drive, steering, doing the things that you need to do, the necessary steps in order to get the ball rolling. Whatever that is for you, I'm not exactly sure, but any industry, anything you're trying to do, you can always take baby steps each day, even if it's a mindset like we talked about. Starting towards the right direction is going to have a snowball effect and ultimately be worth it for you. Now, the next point I want to talk about is once you've got your mind right, once you started taking action towards your goals, understand that longevity is better than perfection. Too many people treat life like a sprint. Life is not a sprint. Life is a marathon. So I always, a lot of people, they try to work in the short term. For example, like the gym. Let's say you've been unhappy with the gym your whole life and you want to get your stuff together. Let's say tomorrow you became buff. You became swole. You're just like, ooh, you look good. You have the 6-pack abs that you wanted. Whatever, you made the gains. Would you stop working out the next day? Let's just say magically you woke up and you had the dream body you wanted. The next day after that, would you stop working out? Most likely not, because it's a lifestyle and you probably are going to work out for the rest of your life. And for example, like filmmaking for me, even if, for some crazy reason I had like 1 million listeners on the podcast, 1 million subscribers on YouTube, not that it's about numbers, but let's just say everything just blew up tomorrow and I woke up, somehow magically it all happened. Would I stop filmmaking? Probably not, because I love doing it and it's my passion. And that's how you should treat whatever you're trying to pursue. It's not a short sprint. So even whatever you're trying to acquire, whatever goal you're trying to hit, even if you got there, you still would be doing what you're doing, hopefully. Because if it's not, then maybe you're revealing what you're actually feeling inside, which is you're just in it for the clout. You're in it for the money. You're in it for the successes and the things you can buy with that, success. So that's something to reflect on. Whatever it is in life that you're trying to pursue or you're trying to crush it at, it's more about sustainability. Being sustainable, doing it a whole lifetime, that's what's important, not, that short-term gain. But with that being said, though, you don't want to just, coast and take your time because you're trying to sustain whatever you're trying to do. You want to work with some kind of urgency. So I like to kind of go with adopt the mindset kind of, content but never satisfied. So what that means is you're content, you're grateful for the current situation that you're in, but you're also never satisfied. You're constantly working towards growing yourself, becoming better, and just really like crushing it at everything, but you're not content, but you're content with where you're currently at in life. Just kind of appreciating the little things, and that way you can be able to do this for a long time. If you just don't be one of those people that becomes super bitter every single day, like I'm not where I want to be, I'm not going to hang out with my friends, I'm not going to hang out with my family until I'm successful, like no one talk to me because I'm on the grind, quote unquote. Don't be like that, because you want to be grateful for the situation that you're in, but constantly striving for more. So basically, the reason you aren't growing, or what we talked about in the beginning of this episode, it's kind of a short audio bit, but like we talked about in the beginning, essentially, the reason you're not growing is because it's not because you don't have the resources, it's because you don't have the right perspective, you don't have the right mindset. So that's the number one thing that you have to kind of get in check is how are you viewing whatever you're doing? What is your mindset? What is your viewpoint on all of this, right? Once you figure that out, you'll be able to put your best foot forward. Figure out your intention, because that's kind of where your true passion or your true motives or objectives lie. So I'm going to give a little bit of a recap, a couple things, couple key points like we just talked about for the past few minutes. If you're worried why you're not growing, make sure you take action beforehand. Essentially, get your mind right. Think of the elephant and the rider. Your body is the elephant, you are the rider. Make sure you're guiding it the right way, but don't underestimate how powerful your body can be and what kind of ruts it can get you into. Take action. Don't look at just what you want, start doing. Like we talked about in the car analogy, you have the vehicle. Make sure you're remembering to turn the car on, put it in drive, and driving to your destination. Don't just be complaining, why am I not getting here? Why am I not getting there? Longevity, always better than perfection. Sustainability is always better, because that's how you're going to be truly successful, because your life is a marathon, not a sprint. Be content but never satisfied. Be grateful. Spend time with friends. Spend time with family. Understand the more important things in life, but work with a sense of urgency. Don't just kick back and watch your favorite Netflix show, or hang out with friends or go to concerts every single weekend. Like, work with a sense of urgency. So that's the little recap of this episode for why you aren't growing. If you guys liked this episode, I would love for you guys to leave a 5-star review on iTunes. I've been promoting my podcast on Spotify. I don't know why, but I'm going to start, pivoting it over to iTunes. So if you guys are iOS users, all you have to do is go to your app section. You probably don't really open it much. If you do, that's awesome. But it's just called iTunes Podcast. Look up MIDCONVO, leave a 5-star review. Let me know like what you like about this podcast, what you want to see in future episodes. But without further ado, guys, I'm going to end the episode here. For those of you that have been supporting the podcast thus far, I super appreciate all your support. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.